Welcome, everyone. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most important journeys any of us can take, the journey inward. We're going to explore the path to really understanding and healing our inner world so we can find what it means to be emotionally whole. Let's get started. So, let me start with a question. Do you ever just feel completely exhausted by your own life? And I don't mean burnout in the usual sense. It's a different kind of weariness, isn't it? It's that deep down exhaustion that comes from living at just a fraction of your real capacity for so long that you've started to think, well, that this is normal. If you're nodding along right now, I want you to know that's not a personal failing. It's actually the result of a process we're about to unpack together. You see, at the heart of this exhaustion is a huge gap between two different selves that we're all navigating. On one side, you've got the constructed self. This is the version of you that you've carefully built over the years, right? It's shaped by what your parents, teachers, and society needed from you. Living from this place feels like a constant performance, always managing how you're perceived. But then there's the genuine self, and this is where your real vitality comes from. It's rooted in what you truly feel and need. And that constant grinding effort of keeping the constructed self going, that's what creates that profound weariness. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by really understanding this fear of autonomy, what it is, and why it keeps us performing. Then we'll dive into the amazing concept of your inner family system. After that, we'll learn how to access your core self. From there, we'll get practical with a daily path to healing, and finally, explore what it really means to live a self-led life. Okay, so why? Why do we build this constructed self to begin with? Well, the answer usually comes down to a really deep, often unconscious fear, a fear of autonomy. Let's really dig into what that means and why it has so much power over us. The psychologist Arno Grun gives us such a beautiful way to think about autonomy. See, it's not about being this fiercely independent lone wolf, not at all. It's about inner harmony. It's that state where what you do on the outside is perfectly in sync with what you feel on the inside. It's about being true to yourself, not just being by yourself.
But here's the thing. From a very young age, our culture kind of pushes us away from this harmony. Think about it. We're taught to praise logic and rational thought way more than our messy feelings. We learn pretty quickly that fitting in gets rewarded and that certain emotions like big anger or deep sadness are seen as, well, maladjusted. Our sense of worth gets all tangled up in external things like power and success, forcing our genuine self to go into hiding just to keep us safe.
This fear of autonomy is almost always tied to a deep terror of feeling helpless, but here's a really powerful way to reframe that. Feeling helpless doesn't mean you're a failure. It's just a feeling tied to one specific situation. Let's say you're struggling with a project at work, and you're terrified to ask for help because you think you'll look incompetent. That feeling of helplessness can actually be a doorway. It's a chance to just recognize your limits and open yourself up to healthy interdependency, which is just a fancy way of saying, hey, we all need each other, and that's a good thing.
All right, so to truly understand what's going on inside, we're going to need a new map. This brings us to a revolutionary idea called internal family systems, or IFS. It suggests that your mind isn't just one single thing. It's more like a dynamic inner family made up of many different parts of you. And inside this inner family, we all have what we call protector parts. Think about your inner critic, your people pleaser, that part of you that procrastinates. These parts take on these really extreme jobs to protect you from getting hurt, usually from pain that happened a long time ago. Now, this is the most important thing to hear. No part of you is bad. They're just burdened. And their intention, always, is to keep you safe. This idea alone can shift you from a lifetime of self-criticism to one of self-compassion. I love this quote from Dr. Richard Schwartz, the man who developed IFS. He says, "Parts are little inner beings who are trying their best to keep you safe. They're not flaws in your personality. They're these little beings inside you, just doing their very best." Seeing yourself this way, it's an absolute game changer. So if we're made up of all these parts, then who is the you that's listening to me right now? Well, underneath all the noise of our protectors, we all have what's called a core self. This is the calm, compassionate, and wise leader of your inner system. It's your true essence, and the best news is, it can never be damaged. There's a beautiful metaphor for this. Think of yourself as the sun. It's always there, always shining. Our protector parts are like clouds. They can drift in, block the light, and make us forget the sun is even there. We might feel cloudy for days, weeks, even years, but the sun, yourself, never ever goes away. Our work is just to learn how to let the clouds pass. So what does it actually feel like when you're connected to this core self? Well, it has 8 very distinct qualities, known as the 8 C's. And these aren't things you have to go out and build, they are already inside you waiting. They are calm, curiosity, confidence, compassion, creativity, clarity, courage, and connectedness. When you feel any of these, that's a sign that you are in yourself. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually bring this into our day-to-day lives? Let's switch gears now from understanding to practice. I'm going to walk you through a few simple exercises to start building that inner connection. Let's try something you can do anytime, anywhere. First, just bring to mind a small recent situation that triggered you. Got it? Okay. Second, see if you can identify the protector that showed up. Was it a wave of anxiety, a surge of anger, an urge to just shut down? Third, just notice where you feel that part in your body. No judgment, just notice. And finally, the most important step, get curious. Instead of trying to push it away, just gently ask it, what are you so afraid of right now? And what younger, more vulnerable part of me are you trying so hard to protect? This little exercise can easily become a brief daily meditation. You just take a minute, close your eyes, and check in with your inner family. Acknowledge them with care, like a good parent would. Then gently ask them if they'd be willing to just relax a little bit and give you some space. And as they do, notice the feeling of calm and spaciousness that starts to bubble up. That feeling, that is yourself. The more you do this, the more your parts will learn to trust you to lead. So what's the end game here? Where does all this lead? Well, it leads to a completely different way of being in the world. Let's talk about what it means to live a self-led life and really step into your true potential. This is where the magic really happens. Think of this whole process as attachment theory, but turned inward. When you become the loving, consistent, primary caretaker for your own inner parts, you stop unconsciously asking other people to do that job for you. You free your partner, your friends, your family from that impossible role, and your relationships can finally transform from being based on neediness to being based on genuine, authentic connection. And this is how our inner work radiates outward. It's amazing. When you learn to be compassionate with your own anxious part, you suddenly have so much more compassion for other anxious people. When you can befriend your own inner critic, you're so much less triggered by criticism from the outside world. Seriously, healing the relationship you have with yourself directly and powerfully heals your relationships with everyone else. And so we end on this question. This work, it isn't just about feeling a little less anxious or a little more calm. It is about liberation. It's about taking back all the energy you've been pouring into managing that constructed self and finally dedicating it to living your genuine life. So I'll leave you with this to think about. If your inner world was a place of harmony, wholeness, and safety, what would you finally feel free enough to do?